Hello, everyone. Welcome to our new podcast discussing WWE Raw and SmackDown. I was going to do NXT, but I think with time constraints and with other things I've got going on, it'd be a little bit difficult. So we are discussing WWE Raw, the 30th of September's issue or version. So, what did everyone think? Pyro's back. Pyro's are back. They've been missed so long. So when they did come back, I was a bit sort of like, oh, wow, they've gone all out. New set as well. So obviously the whole walkway and the Titatron are one piece now. And I also noticed throughout the show is that that they have sort of gotten rid of like the video package entrances. So before you would have like a little video maybe of them standing or them wrestling with their name flashing up. Now we don't seem to get that. All we seem to get now is their name, just in different bolds and colours and stuff. So that was quite interesting. Also a brand new commentary team led obviously by Jerry Lawler. I can't even remember a lot of the other two guys' names. I watched it. I only just watched it, and I can't even remember. One of them does sound like Michael Cole. That's all I can remember. I remember watching it and halfway through going, it sounds like Michael Cole, but it's not. Anyway, so Raw kicks off. Pyro's new set we introduced to the new announce team. Then Rey Mysterio's music hits. And obviously he's got a title match later in the evening with Seth Rollins. He comes out, does a promo in the ring about how he's great. He's got the opportunity for the Universal title and that he's doing it for his son, Dominic, who's sitting at ringside. Now Dominic's sort of he's been in and out of it really, but he's been with Rey Mysterio's coming back and he's fighting back. It's all for Dominic and all this sort of stuff. So there's some sort of storyline going on. Then he's talking and Brock Lesnar's music hits. So this is obviously his return part. He just comes down to the ring and F5's Rey Mysterio. He comes down to the ring. They've sort of snatched the mics away from each other. Then he just F5s Rey Mysterio twice in the ring, and then he sort of glances over and sees Dominic in the crowd, and you instantly know what's going to happen. So he's sort of looking down. Then he goes over to him and sort of yanks him over the barrier, and then it's a little bit of a botch. There's a botch where he sort of lifts him up. And Dominic sort of moves slightly and he has to sort of lift him up and then he throws his back against the ring post and then just scoop slams him. Then throws him into the ring and suplexes him and then suplexes Rey Mysterio, or it might have been the other way around. And it was just all a bit of like, Brock Lesnar said nothing. Also, as well, you can also tell this is an angle. Lots of people might go, "Oh, it's not an angle. It's an angle," simply because no one came down. No one. And it was only after he had beat him up quite a bit that one ref came down and he was just shouting at Lesnar to stop. No one got into the ring. And then all of a sudden, everyone come down to the ring. All these refs come down to the ring after he's beaten them up. Beating the two of them up. They don't even get in the ring. They're all standing around the ring. There must be about 8 or 9 refs there. They're all standing around the ring. And it's like, right, okay. So they're all just standing there. Sort of not even stopping him. So you instantly think this is an angle. This has got to be an angle of some sort. I don't know what they're playing to, but this is an angle. Then Brock gets out the ring. Some officials come down. So 2 people in a suit. One of them I do think is Finlay. I don't know if you remember that guy. Finlay was, I think, one of them. He comes down. They get in a ring. Brock Lesnar sort of comes back into the ring. All the refs are standing there, and he just sort of goes like that to him, and they all sort of just part way. He gets back in the ring and sort of just beats the hell out of him again. but beats the hell out of the officials as well. Then he gets back out the ring. Then he goes back up, and then he just goes back in again and chucks them out of the ring. Okay, so yeah, we've got this point now where okay, Brock Lesnar's the big boy, picking on Rey Mysterio and his son. I didn't really understand that at all, but he sort of decimated them just a bit. Then there's a commercial break. When we come back, it's sort of a recap package, so we see what we've just literally seen, and then plus what happened during the commercial break, which I don't think we've seen for a while, which has happened during the commercial break. And we see him being not nicely put on a stretcher, sort of just plonked onto a stretcher with a neck brace on, with Rey saying, I'm sorry about this, and crying and all this sort of stuff. And then we kick off with, obviously, Sasha Banks versus Alexa Bliss. Sasha Banks come out to a normal sort of set, just her name, a legit boss, Sasha Banks. I did notice something, and that was, where was Bayley? They've got a tag team match on SmackDown, and the last couple of weeks on Raw they have been sort of teaming together, and it was just a bit strange that they were teaming together and Bayley wasn't there. And then we get Alexa Bliss. She gets pyros, little pyrotechnics up the top there on the Titantron, so she gets some pyros. And once again, she's obviously one half of the women's tag team champions. No Nikki Cross. Nikki Cross didn't come out, and there was no explanation on why she wasn't there. It just seemed a bit sort of strange. Anyway, she goes to the ring. Then Becky Lynch's music goes off. She gets sort of a fire extinguisher set with lots of smoke, but it doesn't stay. It's not a lingering smoke. It looks like just like a fire extinguisher's going off. And she sits at the commentary table, which is obviously at the top of the ramp. And Jerry Lawler's like, "Oh, you're not going to interfere. You're not going to interfere." I don't. Oh yeah, she told me earlier she's not going to interfere. Jerry Lawler's role on this whole show, I didn't really get. Was he a color commentator or not? I don't. He sort of switched between the two, and some of the commentary on it, the whole show, was a bit strange, and we'll get onto some of that. Anyway, they're back and forth in the ring. It was a fairly good match. Sasha Banks gets on to the corner post and starts sort of egging on Becky Lynch, who then decides, after she said a few words on the commentary, then decides to stand on the commentary table itself and just stand there the whole near enough through the whole match. She just stands on the table. Anyway, the match is going on. It's fairly good. There was a bit of a distraction. This is how she won. Sasha Banks won. She turned to Alexa Bliss and said, "Oh, look, Bayley." She looks over. It's a roll-up pin, holding her tights, obviously. We get the 3 count. Then, obviously, you know what's going to happen. Becky Lynch runs down. And Sasha Banks sort of just slides out of the ring and into the crowd and sort of half backing out. Becky Lynch said some things on the mic and stuff. They can't wait to Hell in a Cell. The one thing I didn't get from this was what is happening at Hell in a Cell. We know, obviously, Seth Rollins and The Fiend for the Universal title, which makes the Universal title tonight, even though Rey Mysterio is with his son and stuff that's going on. And we find out during the Sasha Banks and Alexa Bliss that there will be a Universal title match, but it doesn't look like Rey Mysterio is going to be in it. There was also something really weird that happened during the match. Now, you could hear, obviously, the ambulance siren, which was taking Dominic off, but you could actually hear it during the match. And I even turned around and went, "What is that? What is someone coming out?" It sounded a bit like a theme song. It's really loud. Even some people in the crowd were sort of looking, like they sort of stood up and looked towards obviously the stage area. And even Sasha Banks and Alexa Bliss in the ring was sort of just like, what? They were sort of just, they didn't really know what to do. It was really weird. You could hear it really loudly. I've never heard that. Like, I've never, by watching WWE and seeing the ambulances and all that sort of stuff, I've never heard that before. And it just sort of threw me. It was like, it reminded me of Right to Censor. If you, do you ever remember Right to Censor? They used to come out to this siren noise. And it was so loud that it seemed like it was someone entering. If you know what I mean? Even people in the crowd were a bit like, hang on. It was just really loud. I don't know why. It was obviously for a filmed segment that they do later on in the show. But it was just weird that you could hear that going on. Yeah. And in regards to Hell in a Cell, we obviously know that it's going to be Becky Lynch versus Sasha Banks, Hell in a Cell match. And I think there's like all of 3 matches so far for the card of Hell in a Cell. So I don't really know what's happening there. And I thought they would go with more of angles on this show. They may have done, but let's poddle along. Okay, so next match, we have the Raw Tag Team Champions, Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode versus Heavy Machinery. Yeah, it was a good match, but good back and forward match. I don't know why Heavy Machinery got the opportunity, though I'm quite of a fan of Heavy Machinery anyway. So I was happy that they got the opportunity. But it was a bit like, well, they're never going to win because Dolph and Roode have only just got the belts. So I don't know whether it was to make them... They seemed really good, and they were a really good tag team, considering they were just slapped together. The match made them look really strong as a tag team. So I suppose that was just a way of them building. But like I said, Sunday, we've got Hell in a Cell. So I don't know if they're going to get a rematch or what. But yeah, it was a fairly good match. I've seen better and I've seen worse. But yeah, they worked well. I thought that Dolph and Roode worked really well as a team in that match. They sort of heavily kept one of them and then were sort of working them over, which is really nice. And the crowd was sort of behind it as well, which was good to see. There was this electric in the crowd as well. It was really sort of up there. Then we get Miz TV, which is the Miz comes out. He gets pyros. So he gets the sort of Christian pyro that we used to get. So it's like a fountain of stuff coming up, sort of cascading down, if you know what I mean. And he done this Christian / Randy Orton sort of pose where he just like does this. Anyway, he comes down to the ring. He says, obviously, they know why they're there. And obviously, he goes into, he thinks what Brock Lesnar did to Rey Mysterio, disgusting. If anyone, he's just had a daughter. If anyone touched his daughter like that, he would see all this sort of stuff. Then Ric Flair comes down. Then we get Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan got, now last week when he was mentioned, there was big boos from the crowd. He didn't get a boo. He did come out with what's his name? Oh my god, I can't believe it's the mouthpiece. Is it Jimmy Hart? I think it's Jimmy Hart. I'm just trying to see now because that's really, yeah, Jimmy Hart. I know it. Yeah, Jimmy Hart come out, and I don't really know. It was just the crowd were really into it. Personally, I wasn't. At one point, the Miz says, "Are you happy?" to Ric Flair, and Ric Flair goes, "Pardon, what? What?" And he has to repeat again. And I just kind of feel sort of, I just like, really, I mean, Ric Flair and Hulk Hogan, biggest names in wrestling, but yeah, for me it was just then they said that they were gonna, that this is what was a bit confusing. So we've got Hell in a Cell coming up, but they booked a match for Crown Jewel, which the crowd booed. When he mentioned Crown Jewel, the whole crowd booed. So that didn't probably go down very well. Then they announced, Ric Flair was trying to come over as a heel, and the Hulk Hogan like the face, but it didn't really work because people didn't really know who to cheer. And Ric Flair was trying to be like, I've had enough of you, Hogan, and it was just like, ooh, it was like that. It was like, right, okay. So basically, at Crown Jewel, they're going to have a 5-on-5 tag team match. Seth Rollins' music hits. He comes down. He's going to be obviously Hulk Hogan's team captain. Then Ric Flair says, "This is mine," and it's Randy Orton. Then Ravi. Then who is it? It's King Corbin. Comes down to the ring. Actually, backtrack that. Randy Orton comes down, and then they say, "Let's have a match right here, right now." This is really weird as well. So they start like, "Let's get a match in right now." So they're just chucking everything out the ring. Then Orton's like, "Get this rug out the ring." So the removal men come in, they move the rug out of the way, and this was what was really. A ref comes down, and then Baron Corbin shows up, or King Corbin, and he comes down to the ring. Now I don't know whether the bell hit or not, but it was really weird. So Corbin gets in the ring, and the ref jumps out. The ref just hot tails it out of there. He just jumps straight out, and Corbin beats Seth Rollins with the old scepter. And Randy Orton, they start beating on Seth Rollins. Ravi's music hits, comes down for the save. Obviously, at this point, Flair's, I think he's gone, but Hogan's at the top of the ramp. There's a beat down. The ring clears. They go back up to the ramp, and then they sort of do a Hogan sort of pose off where Hogan does it, and then you have Ravi and Seth Rollins doing it at the top of the ramp. The whole segment was sort of, I didn't like that segment. So yeah, that was that. Then we come back from commercial break. We have the Viking Raiders now. There was something really, it was just wasn't advertised. It was just sort of slammed together. So there was that. Obviously, Viking Raiders versus the OC. The Viking Raiders beat the OC sort of cleanly as well. So no sort of interference from AJ. It was a bit weird because AJ's part of that group and he wasn't there. And the Viking Raiders won cleanly, and they were quite a bit of a pop. I like the Viking Raiders as well. They've got some really interesting tag teams in WWE, but they've slapped Rude and Ziggler together. Yet they've got all these fantastic tag teams at their disposal. They're not just using. So then there was that. Then there was Ricochet versus Cesaro. And the first thing I said was, when they were coming down, Cesaro came out in these trousers that looked like they were for Ricochet. They looked like they were so small for him. They were not even halfway up his legs, and the crotch section was hanging down really low. It looked like he'd been overdressed really quickly, dressed in the dark, or just gone, "Oh, I'll just wear your clothes, Ricochet," because it was just a bizarre thing. Once again, Cesaro is a fantastic wrestler, but they're just whacking him in there. Ricochet wins with a West Coast pop. Rey Mysterio, one of Rey Mysterio's moves. So they're sort of heavily going into this Rey Mysterio thing at the moment. There is a segment as well where they're putting Dominic in the ambulance to show him what happened, and Rey Mysterio takes his mask off in the back of the ambulance, and you see his face. So that was quite interesting, because I know for a while that they were trying to keep away with all of that, but yeah, he clearly takes it off, and you can see his face clearly in the back of the ambulance. So that was quite interesting. I don't know whether that's sort of like passing the torch to Dominic, maybe. I don't know. But yeah, there was that sort of segment in there. Then we have AJ Styles versus Curtis Alexander. Really, really good match. In fact, so good the crowd were chanting, "This is awesome! This is awesome!" And it was such a good, really good match. A match that I fear should have been on Hell in a Cell, and I think we'll probably get it at Hell in a Cell. It was just such a good match. The crowd were pumped into it. This is awesome. It was great. Once again, they were wrestling during the commercial break. I'm going to talk about the breaks actually now. There was a few weird instances with the commercial breaks. They sort of, it went to a this was all right. So during the Dolph Ziggler and their tag team title match, Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode went out. Then there was an ad break, and when they came back, they started an interview with Seth Rollins, and I just thought, have they forgotten? Like, this was like a good 5 or 10 minutes, a good 4 or 5 minutes. So we've had the break. We've come back to an interview, right? And I've gone, so what's happened with Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode? What's happening? And then they have this big interview with Seth Rollins about what happened with Rey Mysterio, about the title match as well, where he sort of sets up where he goes, I'm offering an open challenge to anyone who wants it, whoever wants to step up. But it was just weird. And then after that, it goes back, and Robert Roode and Dolph Ziggler are still in the ring with their music playing. And I was like, they must have been just standing there for like a good 6 or 7 minutes. I thought that was weird. Then we come back, and then we have something that was set up from the previous Raw, which was Lacey Evans versus Natalya. So that was a good back and forth match. There were some arse words in the last Raw, so I wasn't too sure what was going on with that. But it was sort of leading to a match. Once again, I was sort of deciding whether or not this was going to be at Hell in a Cell. It looked like a lot of these matches could have been at Hell in a Cell. But because it was like a premiere episode, they decided to bring them forward. But it was a fairly good match. Typical stuff from Evans, typical stuff from Natalya. Obviously, Natalya loses to Lacey. And it was all down to stealing the Hart family's sharpshooter. I think that's what it all boiled down from. And then the last match was obviously the Universal title match between Seth Rollins and, now we know, is Ravi. So Ravi steps up. Once again, they done a backstage segment where the interviewer asked where Lana was, and he just didn't say anything and just walked off. So, this match was gearing it up. They were fighting, whatever. And then Bobby Lashley returns. And then Lana comes out. Now, watching this match is Baron Corbin, or King Corbin, and Randy Orton. Also, as well, they still haven't fixed his chair from when it was when it was broke last time. So I say sorry. My mind just went completely blank, because when they come out, you could see the chair had clearly broken. And I think I saw somewhere that it had happened during the commercial break where it broke, but it was in pieces on the floor. So I don't know how that got broke, but I think it got broke during the commercial break. And they're at ringside as well, or at the commentary table. Lashley comes out. Lana comes out. While these two are like having a match, and then kisses passionately, I must have, Bobby Lashley. So obviously they having an affair, whatever. It's leading to a storyline. And then obviously the Fiend comes out and once again attacks Seth Rollins, leading up, bridging to the match that I have at Hell in a Cell. And that's Raw. That was Monday Night Raw. For me, it was okay. It was a little bit better than it has been, but I'm wondering whether that was mainly due to things like the pyro and stuff like that. There were some really, and I mean some really good matches. The tag team title match was really good. So was the Viking Raiders tag team match as well. Also, the US title match as well was just really good. All these sort of things could have been billed for Hell in a Cell. So I'd be interested to see if any of these sort of go on to Hell in a Cell. But yeah, I felt like it was heavily done, and I just felt that they could have saved some of what they already done. It was a great Raw, better than it has been for a while. Could have been better, and there was some weird segment stuff in it, like I said. But yeah, that was Monday Night Raw. If you go onto Twitter, that's my Twitter handle. You can follow me, and I'm going to be doing these now every Tuesday now, a review of Monday Night Raw, and every Saturday for a review of SmackDown. So if anyone, but what I would really like is for other people to come on. So if you want to come on to this live podcast every Tuesday at 3:00 and every Saturday at 3:00, you are more than welcome. All you got to do is drop me a link on Twitter or here on YouTube. So you use that on Twitter. You can private message me, and I'd love to have a lot of people on here discussing what happened on Raw and SmackDown. But now we're sort of gearing up for SmackDown. There was a lot of SmackDown promos in this as well. We've got The Rock coming back. We've got the Brock Lesnar title match with Kofi Kingston. We've also got the ladder match between Kevin Owens and Shane McMahon. And there's a tag team match as well where we've got Charlotte and Becky Lynch versus Bayley and Sasha Banks. So that is quite a build. We'll see what happens on there. We'll see you Saturday for a WWE SmackDown podcast. I'd love people to come and join me. Send me a message on Twitter or through YouTube. Send me a message. I will send you a link. You can come and join me and discuss it with me. I think that would make for a real good interactive show, and I'd love to get more interactive on this with people. Just see how many people we can get going on it. But anyway, I'm going to leave that for now. That was Monday Night Raw. I was only under half an hour, so that was cool. There were some really good bits, some really good matches. No planning forward except the Lana and Ravi storyline, which seems to just be kicking off. But apart from that, nothing else was really made for Hell in a Cell. So I'm hoping some things come out of Friday night. But we will see. We will see. Thank you for joining us. Like I said, if you want to get more interactive, Twitter, Facebook. I'm on Facebook, but I very rarely use it. But yeah, definitely on Twitter and YouTube. Love you to all get involved. Thank you for watching, and let's keep it. Bye.